On the morning of December 3rd, 1984, the citizens of Bhopal city in central India, with a terrible cough, burning in the eyes and shortness of breath, wake up. This morning was a scene of disaster in front of people. People were running in panic on the roads, coughing and vomiting, while there were piles of dead bodies on the road. For the past few hours, there was a poisonous gas around them that leaked from a nearby American pesticide plant, Union Carbide, the world's most dangerous gas, which is used for a chemical attack. Killed about 25,000 people in Bhopal, and 500,000 people lived with its side effects. This was not only the biggest industrial accident in human history, but also the story of human carelessness, cost-cutting, and unfair justice. But the question is, how did such a deadly gas leak from the plant of an American company? Why didn't the plant's safety systems work on time? The staff sitting in the control room, who had found out about the leak an hour before the disaster, why couldn't they stop it on time? And finally, how did this gas leak from containers several feet below the ground and spread throughout the city? Welcome again to Serious Professor's videos. In Bhopal, a company called Union Carbide used to produce pesticides. Their product used to be sold in the market by the name of 7, which the farmers could spray in their fields to protect themselves from various insects and increase their production. This product is made by mixing different chemicals. Its most important ingredient was methyl isocyanate, which is also called mic in short. In 1969, when this factory started, mic was imported from America. But later, Union Carbide started producing it in Bhopal. That is, mic was first produced in the factory and then consumed with its help. Methyl isocyanate, or mic, is a very dangerous chemical which is stored in liquid form. For this purpose, Union Carbide had installed 3 large containers in the ground in which mic was kept in liquid form. On the night of December 3rd, 1984, at 12 o'clock at 5 o'clock, the workers feel gas leakage and they immediately inform the control room. The staff in the control room immediately head towards the storage tanks to find this leak. These storage tanks were under a thick layer of concrete in the ground, and some of the pipes were coming out of it and going into the factory. In the next few minutes, the control room supervisor found a leak in the pipes, but it was a very small leak. That's why the supervisor asked him to fix it after the tea break and left. Such small leaks were very common in Union Carbide, and workers often complained of suffocating due to gas leakage. After a while, the workers called the control room again, because now the gas leakage had increased a lot. The pressure gauges in the control room often gave wrong readings. When the supervisor looked at the pressure gauge, the pressure of the storage container looked abnormal. He thought that maybe the reading is showing wrong. But in just a few minutes, the pressure of the storage tank increased so much that the needle crossed its entire dial and came to full. When the supervisor went back to the storage tanks, he saw that there were vibrations in the thick layer of concrete and cracks had formed in it. The meaning of these vibrations was clear, that the pressure in the storage container had increased to an extreme. It was 12.30 at night. The supervisor immediately initiated the emergency and started neutralizing the leaking gas that had entered the pipes of the factory. There were 3 different devices installed in the factory to deal with this kind of situation. The first was a gas scrubber, in which a special chemical would neutralize the leaking mic. but when the supervisor checked, the device was broken. If the first safety system could not neutralize the gas, then another safety system was installed in the factory for it. And that was the flare tower. Its job is to burn the gas before it leaves the atmosphere. But it turned out that an important pipe of the flare tower had been removed a few days ago and then not installed again. Therefore, the flare tower also did not do its job, and now this poisonous gas entered the atmosphere through the chimney. À tel point, the supervisor and the workers felt helpless. At 1 o'clock in the night, the evacuation announcement was made in the factory and the emergency siren was turned on. At that time, the wind was coming from the north and it started spreading the poisonous, invisible gas coming out of the chimney to the south of Bhopal. If we look at Google Earth, this area is the most densely populated area of Bhopal. As mic is a heavy gas, it immediately came close to the ground and now slowly started spreading in the city. As soon as the gas entered the houses, people started burning in their eyes and severe coughing started. Completely unaware that these people are breathing a poisonous gas. People left the houses and started running in panic. People started to vomit, cough, and one by one began to fill the corpses on the road. In the factory, the supervisor decided to use the last safety system to neutralize the gas. He had to spray water on the gas coming out of the chimney from the hose pipe so that the gas could not spread in the city by neutralizing it. But when the hose pipe was removed, it was not long enough to reach the chimney. That is, the third and last safety system to neutralize the gas could not be of any use. In just a few minutes, the gas in the city spread to 8 kilometers and hospitals in Bhopal started filling up with patients who had the same symptoms. The condition in the hospital was such that there were fewer staff and beds to see the patients. Not only the patients, but the doctors themselves were also coughing badly. An emergency had been initiated in the city. The police told the doctors that it was ammonia gas, but the symptoms people were having were far more severe than ammonia intoxication. For the doctors, this was an unknown medical condition. All this happened so quickly that the authorities did not know whether it was ammonia gas, phosgene or mic, but in reality the methyl isocyanate was reacting with the water in the body and was closing the holes in the lungs, which made it impossible to breathe. By 3 o'clock at night, the number of dead bodies had increased so much that it was becoming difficult to handle them. 3,000 people died in just one night during the Bhopal gas leak, while lakhs of people were badly affected by the symptoms of this poisonous gas. Factory workers who were sitting in the airtight control room themselves were protected from the effects of this poisonous gas. In the morning, when they came out in the daylight, they saw a completely changed Bhopal. The roads where it was difficult to pass due to the crowd, the corpses of animals were scattered there. Until now, the whole world had heard about this horrific incident. Not only the national, but the international media was also reporting it. There should have been 30 tons of gas in the E610 at that time, but it was filled up to 42 tons. But the more surprising and dangerous news was that so much mic is still present in the other container. Union Carbide used to make a lot of mic in advance, but in reality, they produced only a few tons of 7 in a day. Bhopal was currently fighting this devastation when Union Carbide's CEO Warren Anderson arrived in India to see the seriousness of the matter and was arrested at the airport. But instead of being sent to jail, the police took him to a guest house in Union Carbide. Within a few hours, he was released on bail. During this time, he left India and never returned. There, in the factory, the authorities were confused about what to do with the remaining mic in the other containers. They had to waste it drop by drop so that Bhopal could not be the victim of another incident. But there was only one solution to this: to run the factory again and produce savings from it. But this work was very dangerous because the same factory's bad pipes and wrong reading gauges were used in this work. When the people of Bhopal came to know that the factory was going to start again, lakhs of people left the city and started running. Before the factory started, wet clothes were put on the walls and a helicopter was also flying to throw water, so that in case the gas leaks again, it can be neutralized there. After doing all the safety, the factory was run again. Fortunately, the gas did not leak this time, and all the stored mic was finished within 7 days. Union Carbide was now free from mic. People started coming back, but everyone had only one question: that what was the real reason for this incident? What happened that night that the entire 42-ton mic leaked from the container? When the investigation team examined the empty container thoroughly, it was found that there was no crack in it, but the safety valve of the container was found to be damaged. Iron particles found in the container, which were a sign of water, were found. As soon as methyl isocyanate comes into contact with water, it becomes hot and starts boiling. This thing had already been checked in the lab. That is, somehow water had come into the container that night. It was found that before the incident, workers washed a nearby processing unit in the evening. This processing unit and container were connected to the same pipe, but to prevent water from entering the container, a stopper and a safety valve were installed in the pipe. But neither the stopper was working properly nor the safety valve. If both were broken, there was one more thing that could have prevented this incident. Union Carbide is an international company whose plants were present all over the world at that time. They were well aware of the dangerous nature of this chemical. To avoid such accidents, half the container was filled with liquid mic, while the other half was filled with nitrogen gas, so that even if the valve or stopper breaks, the pressure of nitrogen gas can push the water back out. But unfortunately, there was no nitrogen gas in the container that evening. When the investigation team checked the records, they found that, for the past 20 days, no one had reported the low pressure of nitrogen gas. This was a clear-cut case of negligence and cost-cutting. It was reported in the reports that in 1984, Union Carbide spent around $12 lakh to run the Bhopal plant, due to which small gauges and valves were not being replaced. Later, it was also found that the company had received several warnings before this incident. From 1981 to 1984, there had been 5 cases of gas leak here, one of which had killed a worker at Union Carbide. In the E610 container, no one had reported the low pressure of nitrogen gas for the last 20 days because its gauge was broken. The container's broken valve, the pipe's broken stopper, the gas leak, the gas scrubber, which had to be neutralized, the flare tower, which had to be set on fire to stop it from spreading in the environment, and the hose pipe, which was so small that it could not reach the chimney. All this was the result of the company's negligence and cost-cutting. After this incident, the case against Union Carbide, but after 5 years an out-of-court settlement was, and the company settled the matter by giving $470 million to the Indian government. In 2010, 8 managers of Union Carbide were released on a minor fine for negligence. But the people living here are still suffering the effects of the accident that took place 40 years ago. This factory is still in the same state. Here, toxic contamination is still found in the soil and water. And the people who survived this incident are still fighting the long-term side effects of Mike. I hope you will like and share this video of serious professors. Thank you so much for your lovely comments. See you in the next video.